Hello everybody, Michael from Keechma Framework here, and today I want to show you a new feature released in Keechma Toolbox library. So we have a new feature called Dataloader, which basically allows you to declaratively list data sources for your application and when they should be loaded. The idea is that you have all your data sources in one place and then they will automatically be loaded when the application needs them. So I wrote a simple application to show off this feature. It works in combination with GraphQL and it will demonstrate some of the more advanced features of Dataloader. So the application I built is hitting Star Wars GraphQL API, and it basically just loads a list of items from that API. So when we click these checkboxes here, it will load stuff from the API and render it here. Clicking on the checkbox will update the route, and that will trigger the data loader to reload the data. So if we take a look at these queries that are made to the API, we can see that when we are clicking around, it's loading one data source at a time. So it's loading people, loading all people here and showing it on the screen. The interesting thing happens when you refresh the page. Since we have the columns that are shown persisted in the route, it will reload all the data at once. So let's refresh the page. Okay, so this time only one GraphQL query was made, and all the queries were combined in one request. So let's check how the query itself looks. So the query composed all the queries to GraphQL into one query. This is a feature of the GraphQL builder library. I will post the link in the description so you can check it. And basically, when you have multiple GraphQL requests, it will compose them into one query and then unpack the results when the response comes. So yeah, we can check it again. If we click everything here, okay, everything shows. And when we refresh, now it will request all the data at once. As you can see here, we have films, species, starships, people, planets, and vehicles. So how does it work? Data loader is a library that allows you to have data sources defined like this. So one data source is one part of data that you need to render stuff on your screen. And here we have all 6 of those that I showed in the example. Each one of those data sources has a params function and a loader function. Params function will check into the route if this column is showing, and if it is, then it will say which query should be called. In case of films, the query will be called load films. We have all the queries in the GraphQL file here, and the GraphQL builder library is parsing those queries and creating a structure that we can use. So we have these 6 data sources, and each one of them will check the route. This parameter here is the structured route, and when the column films is present in the route, as we can see it here, films, then it will return the params. Each one of those data sources will be checked on each route change, and data loader will try to load as much as possible at once. And since all of those data sources are using the same GraphQL loader, the GraphQL loader will receive all those requests at once. And here we prepare the params for the data loader, remove data sources that return nil, so that means that there was no column in the route, and then just call the GraphQL builder function composed query, which builds a composed query and then makes a request to the GraphQL endpoint. So this is, in my opinion, very cool feature because it allows you seamless optimization of queries to your service if you're using GraphQL. And it shows how easy it is to actually build this kind of query boxing. You have complete control of how the queries will be made. The only thing that you have to be careful is that your return from the loader function should return a vector that has same amount of elements as the request vector. So let me show it once again. So when we are on the page, let's remove some columns. When we are on the page and we want to load a new column, then it will make a request only for that resource. But when we refresh the page, it will know how to combine all those requests into one request. So if you like it, check Keechma Toolbox documentation. It's published on keechma.com, and make sure you ping me on Twitter or on Slack if you have any questions.